Sorry, Andrew Weissman. But if I recall correctly, in 2018, you were one of the people who helped write the Mueller report, and you all botched the hell out of that.
And never in my wildest dreams would I have thought we would be here. I thought we were better as a country.
Oh, yeah.
Like all these sites that have been around for creating videos and all that, like text stock videos, they're done.
But that's why Canva was one of the first to get into doing
I got to unmute myself. There we go. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And since 2020, like that 2020's come up a lot of times. That must be a significant year in my life for some reason. We've reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers. So you are watching, if you're watching it live or you're watching the replay, Primetime Saturday with Aisha K. Staggers and LaLa Key. Aisha's not with us this week. She wasn't up to it feeling well last week. This week she's moving. So we're saying, Aisha, stay still. Can you stay still and just like do your thing and come back? Where are you, Aisha? Where are you? We'll do one of those things. But so definitely she will be back. But okay. All right. That's good. I just got a message, so we're 100% with that. All right. So let's bring up to the stage one of the most diligent social media content creators I know, but she's one of the sweetest content creators that I know. LaLa.
Hey.
What's up?
I'm addicted to social media.
I know you are. You know, and
I actually just posted a new TikTok right before we went live. So, yeah.
You know what? And for a little bit of time a few years ago, I touched the TikTok thing, but I've never got into it because I believe in putting my energies to where you're growing, and YouTube's my jam.
Yeah.
So I'm on YouTube, but I'm going to spend some time putting some short content on TikTok.
Yeah. Well, I get the most attention on my sister's case.
Yes.
On TikTok. I find that most people know me on Facebook. Of course, they're following me there. But when I want action and I want more attention, it seems that gets the most attention on TikTok.
Thank goodness. People, make sure you listen to this all through, because LaLa is married, by the way. She said, thank goodness when I want action. I'm going, oh my gosh, that could go down a really slippery.
That might be a good clip for you.
Maybe.
Clickbait.
Just a thought. But yeah, so social media is always, I look at social media like this. You're grabbing a lot of times you're grabbing air, and once you go, oh, I got something. And it's funny.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of focusing on YouTube shorts and figuring out the algorithm. And it's interesting that the best response, the best engagement I get from YouTube shorts is either when it's talking about money or politics.
Yes. And I had the best intentions of always trying to grow my YouTube. I saw YouTube as like the redheaded stepchild for a long time. And now I'm getting a little more serious about my channel as well. So it's interesting to see how each thing that you do serves a different type of audience. Yes. And you do have to go where you're most pushed. And I do feel like YouTube has been steady and actually has a lot of good things coming along the pipe. So I'm going to be doing more.
Yeah, they're releasing some other, like, I don't know if I had mentioned on this platform, but I listened to some people that are really knowledgeable about YouTube. One of the things that YouTube's going to be doing for all creators in the new year is sort of like creating, for those who know what Discord is, or they're going to be releasing a Discord or Facebook Facebook groups platform inside your own YouTube page.
Oh, and see, that would be great.
Yes. So, for people, and I don't know how much people still use Facebook groups. I've become a Discord fan, and the reason why is younger people told me about it. I had some students that were working with me a few years ago, and as I say, I always ask people when I first meet them, what's the best way for me to communicate with you? And they said Discord. I go, what's Discord? And I tried it. I love Discord.
Well, we have fun in ours.
Yes, absolutely. We have a great time. It's great. The next thing I'm hoping that they release is being able to do voice messaging through desktop or laptop to your Discord group. Right now, you can only do it via your phone, but if they could get to that next level, but I really like that. Oh gosh, we already got comments flying. Good stuff. We'll get to that in just a second. That's an interesting conversation, Paige.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, so that's happening. And for those who don't know, LaLa is an amazing singer. And on another platform, we won't say what it is, she actually sang someone happy birthday this past week, and that was very cool. But yeah, we have a great interest in music. And before we went live, I was just saying, LaLa, I saw some things that I really like to show you, and I just showed her a little bit of Sting, who's still doing concerts.
If that's your life purpose, there's nothing better than being able to do that your whole life. It's just that to me tickles my fancy, and I'm so happy that they're still doing it.
Yeah, I've been hesitant to go see artists that are in that age group. But I said to LaLa before I came on, I said, and he did 5 nights in Toronto. I'm going, how come I didn't hear about this? Because I would have paid the price to see him.
And that's what I don't understand. I wonder what happened with the marketing that you didn't hear, because you are a music fan.
No. Yeah, but you know what? I miss a number of different things, so I don't mind. But there's some artists that say, yeah, I'd go spend some money to see him. And there's also there's a progressive rock band that's coming in October. And when the tickets went on sale, I went, and I'm going, now I should, because they've just started the tour, and I'm going, oh man, I'm just so But the interesting thing that's happening in Toronto, it used to be a military base, but they've now converted into a park. And now what they're doing at this park is they're building a 50,000 seat outdoor concert stadium.
Ooh, nice.
So I'm going, what sort of artists could maybe come play there next year? And if the artists are going to play next year there, I'm going to go. Like, I'm not a big fan of this group called Oasis.
Oh, yeah, I like Oasis.
Well, you know that now they're getting back together and touring?
I hope they stay, because they were fighting there for a while.
Yeah, well, they're supposed to be. At first, they were announcing a UK tour, and now they've confirmed they're going to be coming. They're only doing one date in Toronto next year. One, and
they're an interesting band. I like them.
I have to be totally honest. I've never really listened to them. If someone played me a song and said, "Oh, this is by," I would say, "Oh, really?" I have no idea.
Yeah, they have a really interesting history.
Yeah, I've heard about like them at times not getting along with each other.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot. Okay.
A lot. It's really, and let me tell you how I ended up learning a lot of that history, because I always like to share when I find things that are really great. There's a podcast called Disgraced Land, and it talks about a lot of musical history. The way this guy tells history of bands and stuff, you are in it to win it. It's called Disgraced Land. Love it.
What's it called? What's the name of the podcast?
Disgraced Land.
How did you find out about it?
I'm a huge podcaster. I love podcasts. And so it just popped up on my feed one time. And it's a little image of a funny looking skeleton dressed as Elvis. And for the longest time, I wouldn't even look at it. I was like, oh, that doesn't look good. And then one night it just started rolling, and I was like, and then he did a Prince episode that was excellent. And I was like, wow, this dude knows a lot of history, and he puts it together in such a way it's so interesting.
You know, and and another thing I played for LaLa is I've really over the last some years, my respect for Stuart Copeland, drummer of the Police, has just gone next level. And he's done so much stuff.
So much.
Post Police. So much. And
so much. People don't realize that.
Yeah. And there's a YouTube channel for drummers, and he does about the gentleman hosted does like a 1 hour. Some of it is historical, some is music information, music history, some of the stuff we played on just going, wow, wow, wow. So those 2 links are going to LaLa Key via Discord DM message for her to join and enjoy those things.
And I'm going to make sure that I send you Disgraceland, because I think that you would really enjoy it.
Yeah, I love the music history, the story behind. I really get into the music documentary side, the behind the scenes of the music. One other thing I want to tell you too is that we're supposed to have Dr. Tachi join us, and I don't know where she is. I'm just checking to see if everything is okay with her. She's active now.
She said the weather didn't get her too bad. I checked in on her earlier too, because I was afraid that hurricane that ripped through Florida, but she's not on that side.
Yes, I'm actually just messaging her right now to say, are you joining us? Because I did send her a message. I think she's going to probably be joining. I do see that she's online. But yes, so music stuff, etc., 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 is happening. So let's do some housekeeping. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa at Patreon, which is otherwise known, aka girlfriends chat.
Yes,
girlfriends chat. That happens through that link. If you want to join the Discord group, hint, 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 hint. Email me dr.vib@thedrvibeshow.com. Primetime Saturday Show Store. There's the link for that. And on most of the platforms that you're watching this live or replay, you'll see this information in the comment section. Also, please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. I'd like to get to 1,570 subscribers sooner rather than later. Like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And then if you want to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I show my visage on, visage is face, by the way, en français, email me at dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. And then finally, support IndieSoup TV, where you'll see this content and other content that I have a part of. It's powered by Dr. Tachi. They're now at 18,000 subscribers. Should I do this before or after break? I'll do it after break. We got some interesting things coming up. So we're going to take a little bit of break. I have messaged Dr. Tachi. I know she's around. I'm just wondering. Yeah, so she's seen my message. So she's seen the message. We're going to, like there's an old Roots song, I shall proceed to continue to rock the mic. I shall proceed. We're going to proceed and continue to rock the mic after a break. So we will be back with you in, is it 30 seconds? I think 30 is en français. There we go, 30 seconds. LaLa. Join Aisha K. Staggers and LaLa Key as they cut through the chaos and make some sense of the nonsense in American news and politics.
People are expecting Obama-level eloquence out of a man who's always talked like this.
Sharp insights, bold opinions, and a touch of humor. It's the show that keeps you informed and entertained.
There's no way that Trump is going to debate her.
Don't miss Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. Tune in and stay ahead of the headlines. I hope that
I was wrong.
well, I just hope that no 45 campaign supporters come after you.
I'm not studying them if they do. You can't argue with crazy. You can't. They don't know they're crazy. So
Okay. Well, you know what? Someone has arrived. Someone has arrived.
Hello.
Someone has
How are
arrived.
you?
What's
Good,
going
and
on?
you?
Yes, I apologize. I forgot to tell you that I had an event today. I just got home.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. I
Sorry.
realized I said I forgot to tell him. Yes, but no,
Okay.
I was rushing home to be here, and now I'm here.
You're here.
Yes.
So what's been going on in your world? How's the world at IndieSoup Media?
Oh, the world of IndieSoup Media is good. It's good.
What?
I
and
love that tone. I love that tone. It's good. It's good.
I missed it. You were on late last night, were you?
Yes, I did. Because I've been so busy this week, I did not have an opportunity to do Mediascope this week at all. And I
Oh.
said, I'm not going to let the week end without having done it. So I said, let's see who shows up at 10:30. People came. It was a
Wow.
full house.
Wow. Wow.
See,
Wow,
that's saying something.
Well
It
done.
is. It's also saying something that I was still awake and not asleep. I've been doing this juicing challenge
Oh,
because I love juicing, but I haven't had time to do it. But I said, if I join a challenge, I'll have to do it. I had so much energy, it was not funny.
wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've
Yeah.
gone for 90 days before.
How long?
90. Wow.
Are you mad?
Because, once you get past that third day for me is always the hardest because my body is purging and it's
I don't care.
No.
No, I'm talking about the 90. I don't forget the 3. 90?
90. Yeah, but you got to get to 3 before you get to 90.
Well,
Was it 90 days without food, or you were just doing one meal a day, or how were you doing?
No food. Just everything was juicing. I learned how to juice things that I never thought I would ever learn to juice. Like sweet potato is delicious.
What, raw?
Yes, just put it in that juicer and you would be surprised how much juice comes out of that. The only trick to that is you cannot let that juice sit long. When you juice sweet potato, you need to go ahead and drink it because when it separates, it starts to get a little gritty. So when you're ready to drink it, just put that in at the last minute and have that. Cherries are wonderful. I do a lot of kale, a lot of mean green. You name it, I've tried it. Rhubarb.
90 days.
90.
That's what he's still stuck on.
Yeah. Well, so
90 days.
Once a month on one of our brother shows, is it a sister shows? The Morning Vibe, Carolyn Nicole, who's a holistic nutritionist, comes on the second Monday of each month. And what I do with her, she's got me to do 3-day juicing. So I do that at least. I was going to do it next week, but I have a number of things going on next week. So the week after is my next 3-day juicing. And it's not that hard, but the next best thing to juicing is drinking this water.
Yes.
Oh, and I struggle with that so bad.
Really?
Okay, hold on. You can juice, but you can't
Every
drink
time
water?
I turn around, my husband is like, "Did you drink your water? Did you drink your water? Did you drink your water?" And I always have to tell him, "No. What? This is tea. This is Crystal Light."
Okay. So I'm gonna make sure I drink water almost anytime you're on the Visage these days. So before we get started, let's say hello. Minnie on Cam says, I just saw that 45 is being interviewed by Dave Ramsey next week, so he won't do big media interviews. So he's going for the independents. Hello, Shirley.
They don't want him either, so okay.
Shirley Josma, usually on the Morning Vibe family, welcome this evening. And she goes, your French is on point today. Yeah, well, that's all you're going to get. Trente. But one of the other words I remember from grade 12 French back in the day, pamplemousse. Does anyone know what pamplemousse means in French?
Yeah, that's applesauce.
No.
I don't know any French.
No. It's grapefruit.
Oh.
Dr.
Grapefruit?
Tachi is quite, I'm pretty sure pamplemousse is grapefruit.
Yes. I don't, maybe it's because my cousins live in, and they call applesauce Pom,
Yes.
apple,
Yes.
and
I think
mousse like sauce. So that's what they called it. So,
okay, well,
okay.
I'll do a double check on that. No problem. That's all right. And
But you're probably right.
maybe Regina says, hello, Dr. Vibe,
Hey.
Dr. Tachi and LaLa. And Mignon Cam says, I did juicing for one day. I don't know if I could do 90. Yeah, I could do 3. I don't know about this 90 thing. Oh, look at this. Mignon Cam, pamplemousse. And Shirley Jones verifies pamplemousse is grapefruit.
Okay, there we go.
Should I be like Tyler Florence on the grapefruit truck race? Yes. I know the grapefruit truck. I watch some things on the Food Network. I'm addicted to some of those shows. That's just me.
Food Network is great.
No problem. All right, let's stop talking about food and let's talk about political food. Food. Okay.
That food is bitter.
There is an upcoming debate between Tim Walz and J.D. Vance. Ladies, thoughts?
Go ahead. It's going to be an adventure.
Jeez.
Because Vance mouth word vomits just as much as Trump. So I'm not expecting anything amazing. I mean, once again, here we are. We're going to be dealing with two people who are on opposite ends. One who's talking some kind of sense, and the other one that just says anything and never backs down and never apologizes and never. I mean, now they're on to Africans and saying they're eating something stupid, like, you know, and not apologizing. So it's a formality. It's a circus show. That's all it is.
Does any part? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Tachi. I didn't let you speak. Go ahead.
Well, I have to agree with what she's saying. You're dealing. Vance is an imbecile. There's no other way to put it. He is a complete imbecile. He bows to whatever will serve him at the moment. Because if we look back a few years ago in terms of what the discourse was, it was totally not this. He was totally against this man, the person running for president. And so now all of a sudden, you're on the bandwagon. This is clear, particularly based off of what you said before about him. It is clear that you are doing what will serve you and put you in power by any means necessary. And so that's one thing. The second thing is now he's going to be faced with having to tell the truth. Well, we'll see. In a public forum and in the public sphere, because he's been able to get away with these lies because he hasn't really truly been in the public sphere or in a debate setting. Now you're going to be called on it. Now there are going to be fact checkers. So he's going to have to come to some reconciliation with the truth, or at least some version of the truth. He can't feign, mental illness the way that the other one does. So it's like, okay, that's his thing. That's his shtick. What is your excuse for not telling the truth? We expect that from him, from the former 45, because we see that all the time. This one is new, and you don't start lying right away. He's always lied, perhaps, but now he's going to be held to the truth in the public sphere. So this should be interesting to watch.
And don't forget, I mean, people don't, they keep on trying to distance themselves from Project 2025, but he wrote the foreword to the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
they keep trying to distance themselves because it is not popular publicly, and it has implications for everyone, regardless of everyone except the people who authored it and the very rich. That's who it does not necessarily affect. And there's no way, really, you are trying to hurl us into a dictatorship. There is no way. After you had an attempted coup, your next thing is dictatorship. There's no way you could get away from it. And I don't think they should let him. Just as powerful as they were about checking during the presidential debate, the fact checking, this is what they need to do here. Because I know they are preparing. I mean, they're both preparing, but one needs to prepare more than the other because one has been telling outright lies the entire time. So now he's going to have to get away from telling lies about Haitians in Springfield. He's going to have to get away from now he and his overseer, are now going to have to walk back what they said about people in the Congo, which I won't get into that now, but I'm highly upset about both of those things.
Yeah. Well, then, but what can you expect when even Trump is saying that he doesn't even talk to his vice presidential candidate? Like they're both on the same train, but they're in different cars. It's the ridiculous thing. You would want to show yourself as a team, but Trump only wants things that is going to glorify him. He's not going to give any credit to anybody else. And you can bet your sweet behind that the only reason Vance is on his ticket at all is because of some kind of thing with this Project 2025. That's what the whole thing is about. You can't fool me. This man, first of all, Vance couldn't even stand Trump. I mean, and he just completely switched overnight. Like y'all don't see this, really? The Kool-Aid that
good? It's delicious, apparently.
Okay. Well, here, what are the debate rules? Vance and Walz have 2 minutes to answer a question, 2 minutes to respond to the other's answer, and then 1 minute for rebuttal. Their microphones will be hot for the duration of the debate, unlike 45's debates with Harris and President Joe Biden this year, when a candidate was muted during their opponent's turn to speak. But CBS reserves the right to mute them, the network said yesterday, Friday. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their closing statements. Vance won the Thursday coin toss and to determine the order of closing statements and opted to get the final word. There will be no opening statements. Candidates may not interact with their campaign staffers during the breaks, nor are they allowed to have pre-written notes with them. They will be given a pen and paper on stage. The other thing, this article doesn't say, but there's going to be no fact checking in real time.
They kill me with that, but okay. Because after the fact doesn't help us.
That's the thing. Do you think it is a good thing to have no fact checking in real time?
To be honest, I don't know that it matters. To be honest, it's a good thing if you do have the fact checking in real time. If you don't have the fact checking in real time, I don't think it's a big thing, to be honest. I think that the public discourse is such, and to be honest, the Harris campaign has done a really good job of putting things that are factual out there, that there's so much information out there that you really would have to be sleeping under a rock in order to do these things. So here's the thing. We already know that this whole making up of half-truth, fables, lies, and dastardly deeds in terms of the Haitians and now in terms of Congo, we already know that this is going to come up. So now he's really going to have to weasel his way out of these things because, listen, everybody has come out and said this. The mayor of Springfield, I'm on this, mayor of Springfield is a Republican mayor, okay? He has come out and said, listen, no. I mean, not the mayor, the mayor and the governor, actually. So they've come out and said, this is not true. This is not what happens in Springfield. Da, 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 da. So you've got people that are refuting all of this already. So the discourse
from their own camp.
Yes, from their own camp. The discourse is out there that this is not true. So there's enough out there already pointing to the fact that much of what they say is not factual, that it will take care of not fact checking. I think I'm okay with it.
Are you? How deciphering do you feel the American? Well, I guess there's two ways of looking at this. How deciphering do you feel the American public is, and is it just at the point now? Whoever's going to vote, it's not going to change.
Well, and this was the second point, that at this point, debates are just formality. They are not really going to sway voters one way or another. To be honest, you were already decided. The undecided is a myth. You were already decided on who you were going to vote for ahead of time. This is not like these are two new individuals that are entering the pot that you know nothing about. They've had several months and the other one several years at this point. Actually, even before that, because New Yorkers, we knew who he was before he got in office. So it's you're absolutely right. It does not really make a difference I don't think these are, it's good to hear, but it's not necessarily going to make a difference because people already know who they're voting for.
Yeah,
Fact check or
I
not.
agree with that.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Okay. All right. Well, I think it'll be interesting to see just both of them. I think comparing it to the previous debate with 45 and Ms. Harris, it'll be interesting to see how this turns out, and will either party gain anything out of it? That will be also a very interesting fact. Do you think any
I
party
think
will
it'll
gain
be the first time the public actually gets to kind of see, you know, how they interact. I mean, we see them in the rallies, we see them already, but this is a side-by-side comparison of apples and oranges. And you're just going to see just how much apples and oranges are going to be different in this. And that's pretty much all it's about. It's really not going to be a determining factor of people. I don't believe so.
And, you know, I think we also need to, going back off of this, there needs to be more education about what the vice president's role actually is. I don't think people know. And this is how you have uninformed statements of, oh, well, like speaking about Kamala, what has she been doing for 4 years? The things that vice presidents do. They're there to be an aide to the president and take over in case anything happens, or in the time that something happens, they're there to take over. It's not a job.
It's not like you out there in the public every single day.
Exactly. The public won't see you every day, and you are also not co-president. So I think there is a misconception about what the job of the vice president is. Again, I blame the American school system for taking civics out, where you don't understand the three branches of government and what they actually did. Not to get into it, but to point to something that a story that we're going to talk about. I saw in the comments, because I hate the comments, but I read them to see how uninformed and daft people sometimes are. Mm-hmm. People said, well, what did Biden and Harris do about that situation? What could they do? Because that's a state issue, not a federal issue. So we don't know precisely how our government works. And I think there needs to be more of that, and then bring that spirit to the vice presidential debate in understanding what their roles would be.
Regina says, in a debate, you should check your opponent. Tim Walz was a social study teacher. I am sure he is good at fact-checking pathological liar Vance. We see where Regina sits on who she thinks is the better representation. She also says, I had a huge fight with an ignorant MAGA twit over the VP's job. The individual was clueless. Yes, daft is the appropriate word for these lemmings. Did you go to the Dr. Tachi School of English?
You'll learn a lot here at the Dr. Tachi School of English. Yes.
Well, I have some help of someone who's did the editing of the last show, and they called me after and says, Dr. Tachi is killing me. She goes, she is killing me. Minion Camp says, my sixth debate, we had to do name sources in our arguments, and my school at that time was a voting station in the late 1990s. That's interesting. Has anyone went to a school that was actually a voting station during the election?
Yes.
Oh,
mine was when I was growing up, it was a church, a local church.
Okay.
Yeah, my high school was a polling place.
All right. Cool. So this actually leads into this coming up this Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. I will be hosting a watch party. So a few weeks ago, we had a watch party for 45 and Kamala Harris. Also, we're going to be doing a watch party for the VP debate party. So wherever you're watching this before October 1st, 9 p.m., we're going to be doing it again. These two ladies will be here. Aisha K. Staggers, Wayne Harris, Ryan Knight, and also Cesar Nadima Musa. And we have now another person joining in, lady who is a African-Canadian politician out of the city of Waterloo, Ontario.
Oh, that should be interesting.
So she is all into politics. And when I said, hey, would you like to? She says, oh, she was all over it. So she is fired up and excited to be part of that. So Tuesday night, you know where to be, not watching the TV. Well, you can, but you also be watching us, especially our takes in the commercial time, but especially after. And it's interesting because one of the things that Wayne Harris said is when you're in a debate, it's not so much what you're saying, it's how you can deflate what the other person is saying, which is a very interesting point. So, as you said, this Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, that's October 1st, 9 p.m., hang out with us, and we're going to have some fun. So that's a debate. Next conversation piece. This has become a real hot story. New York City Mayor Eric Adams indicted on 5 federal public corruption charges, including bribery and wire fraud. Who wants to tackle this one first?
LaLa?
Yeah, he's a hot, as we used to say, hot ghetto mess, if you ask me. He's claiming that they're going after him because he is broken like ties with the Biden administration and calling Biden out about immigration issues. That's what he's saying, is that now he's become a target. But sir, you have been caught doing things that you shouldn't have been doing. So he is the first sitting New York City mayor to be charged with these type of federal charges. He received illegal what they're accusing him of or have proof of is him receiving illegal campaign contributions, receiving lavish gifts, including travel with the Turkish government in exchange for political favors. And one of those political favors was the Turkish consulate building being opened without inspection. He has also been tied to a 2023 campaign fundraising scandal and was raided by the FBI. His whole camp, not just him, like allegations of bribery from his aides, as well as many other things that are going back to 2014. It was 57 pages long. And he is still claiming that he is innocent. However, more and more Democratic people are asking him to step down, including AOC. It's not looking good for him. But, you know, the history that we have seen is clearly going to show favor on the other side. You've got Trump, who has all these charges and actually been, indicted and charged with these, and now he's waiting sentencing. But now we're going to see how fast they're going to move with Eric Adams. I'm sorry, I don't trust this man as far as I can look at him, and I do believe he is corrupt. And we are going to see a very different justice system, and that's going to be interesting to watch.
First of all, he also just needs to make sure that he's not connected with Diddy in some sort of way, because that's also going to be.
Yep. Yeah.
That's also you never know. It's around the same time period, so it would make sense. But I 100% agree with LaLa. All signs point to corruption in this case. Again, I think that the whole thing is there are a lot of pieces here. Well, yeah, he'll be back. There are a lot of pieces here. Number one, I think that Eric Adams is only the second mayor in New York City's history, second Black mayor in New York City's history. When you are a Black public official, you carry a lot on your shoulders. And so there's this whole discourse that's going to be around that as well, and has been around that. This is something that you never want to see when you are a person of color, a person of ethnicity, because that person tends to represent all of you, right? And so there's that end that is being talked about and that I'm hearing some discourse about. Secondly, I don't know specifically about his record in the NYPD, but he was in the NYPD. I'll just say that. I'll leave it there. There tends to be, and this is not an overarching blanket against police departments in general, but there tends to be some things that happen, particularly in the NYPD. So if I'm seeing something like this from a mayoral candidate that used to be NYPD, I'm not surprised somehow. And that's probably a terrible thing to say, but somehow I'm not surprised. I don't know his entire record when he was with the NYPD, but I'm fully not surprised. And then just the level and the depth of the allegations or the indictments, the several levels of these. And I've been saying this, and this is so simplistic, but I've been saying this since last week because all of these situations keep coming up. It takes so much energy to be evil. Why not just be good? Why not just do things for the good of people? This takes a lot of energy. So you see what's happening here. I really seriously doubt that this is a huge smear campaign against him, because it would follow that he would need to be an upright, upstanding, fine citizen for this to be a smear campaign, which I submit he is not. So I doubt very seriously that there is a concerted effort to bring him down because of X, Y, Z. No, you were corrupt in the first place. Let's make that clear. So this is going to be interesting. And LaLa's sipping her water because she's like, this is good.
But I want to know, it takes a lot for Democrats to accuse other Democrats. So Mike, there's a backstory that I feel we're not hearing here. Who did he really upset that much for this to come down?
That's the question. That's always the question. That's always the root of the problem. You don't get to this point without, tapping on somebody's roots before they start doing a root canal. So it goes back deeper than what we know if they're taking it all the way back to 2014. The question is, if you had these things going on back to 2014, why wait till now?
And why was he the preferred candidate? I mean, I know that the other candidates were like the other choice was not the greatest. So that's probably why it filtered here. But if we already knew this, why?
Yeah, and man, is the district attorney a little bit busy?
A little bit.
Just a tiny bit.
I hope he's eating his Wheaties.
Go ahead, Dr. Tachi.
Listen, it's New York. The district attorney is always busy. Okay. Letitia, what is her last name? Is it
Letitia
that's not James. She's always busy, right? Because it's simply that comes with the territory of being a big city. That city is 8.5 million people.
I wouldn't want it. I don't want that job.
It is and surprisingly, it is the largest city in New York State, only second to Buffalo, and Buffalo only has 250,000 people. So that tells you how large New York City is. You're talking about the fact that New York State could fit inside New York City people-wise several times over. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of people that you're dealing with and a lot of things and a lot of crimes. So yeah, she's always going to be busy. But I would say this to the point that you said that it's rare for Democrats to kind of bring up charges or whatever on other Democrats.
Eat their own.
I would suggest that's not necessarily always the case. I would say, if anything, I wouldn't say always quick, but Democrats are quicker than Republicans.
That's true.
Republicans will look at all what's going on right now.
That's true.
They are loud and wrong, but you still stand there and you say very little. It's only until very recently that Republicans have come, listen, we're voting for Harris because they've had it. But the mantra of Republicans is party over republic. You stand with your own, even if Democrats, not so much. Some are, but we saw let's even talk with Biden about Biden, because if that were the case, they would have stuck by it. Several were like, listen, you need to step down. Okay. So I think Democrats are quicker to give up their own, quote unquote, than Republicans are.
Point taken. Yeah. Good examples, but it's the story that we're not hearing that has me going,
Yeah.
But that's always the concern. It's always the story that we're not hearing that concerns me. In everything that we ever talk about, there is a story that we're not hearing. They only feed us what they want to feed us to keep us in a frenzy. but behind the scenes is where the true corruption goes. It's no different than the Wizard of Oz. It's the one behind the curtain who is pulling the string until it gets exposed. And I don't see that part being exposed as much as it should be.
Good analogy. Behind the curtain, Wizard of Oz. Like that. Like that. Many on campuses, I think they built the relationships knowing their secrets, waiting to pull them out.
It takes so much energy to be evil.
Yep.
Look at how much you have to look over your shoulder right now and how much you have to get people to be quiet, keep people quiet. Look at this and all this, not just with Eric Adams, but all the situations that are happening. And I think that's why I started saying this last week. If this is what it takes, I really don't want to be evil.
No, it's too much energy. It's too much of a drain. I'd rather walk in the light.
Amen.
There you go. All right. Let's move on to our next conversation piece. LaLa brought this one up. Missouri executes Marcellus Williams despite prosecutors and victims' family asking that he be spared.
I have shed so many tears over this. Marcellus Williams was 55 years old. There was no physical evidence in this case. In 1998, Felicia Gale was stabbed over 30 times, and he was arrested and charged and was serving time for this. He has claimed his innocence from the very, very beginning. The St. Louis County prosecutor filed a 63-page motion to overturn the conviction. It was ignored. And in fact, they called it a manifest injustice. If the St. Louis County prosecutor's office is turning around and saying that this is an injustice, don't you think that something should be done? The husband of the victim called for the stop of the execution. It was ignored. The Innocence Project worked very, very hard to get this turned around, yet it still fell on deaf ears. He was the 100th person that was executed in Missouri since 1989. And of those 100, 38% are Black. That's 38 people out of 100. And this is also causing people to be more vocal about the disparaging amounts of people who are being executed in that state. Now, finally, his final statement, which really just tore my heart to pieces, was simple. It says, all praise to Allah in every situation.
Amen.
So this man who has always claimed that he's innocent, people have backed that he's innocent. There wasn't any physical evidence, yet he served his life pretty much in prison. Never got the opportunity to retry or have someone relook at the situation. Even though they had proof, they still executed them. This is where I lose faith in our justice system. Maybe this is a little too close to my heart right now, knowing that I'm fighting for my sisters and I'm feeling like there's no justice. When I'm calling the congressman, when I'm calling the councilman, when I'm calling, everybody shucks it off on someone else. But this case, this man lost his life when, I'm sorry, in my opinion, he was innocent. So to me, this is a complete injustice, and there has got to be something done when these type of cases show that someone is innocent. They need to be looked at seriously. So if you ask me, those who turned it down are guilty of killing an innocent person.
Amen. I have to say, first of all, I am very staunchly anti-death penalty. It is not for humans to make the determination as to whether someone lives or dies, just like it's in any case. So does this right any wrongs for even people who have done the crimes? That to think that the death of an individual will bring peace to the family of, that's That's the mark of an uncivilized society. I will just say that. And in a so-called civilized society, these are not things that should go on. So since 1989, 100 people in the state of Missouri. How, ask yourself, how has that helped? How has that turned anything around? Has that deterred other crimes from happening? It has not. And so the fact now that you take all of that and now you apply these same parameters to people that have no proof of any wrongdoing against them, people who are quite possibly innocent, this complicates the issue even more. If you know there is even a glimmer that something is not right here, if you know that innocence could be at stake here, death penalty should never be on the table, especially when there's a question. And in every case, there's probably some reasonable doubt, especially the things that came forward. Wasn't it that the person who actually did it admitted to it?
I believe so.
Yes, I think I remember that was the case. So even in lieu of that, and again, for them to say something at the 11th hour means that there was internal turmoil that they could not let that happen. But still.
And yet it did.
And yet they did. Yeah. I think it's despicable and deplorable. It shows a lack of critical thinking skills by the state. It shows a lack of critical thinking skills by the state officials, that they still go on emotion based off of race, based off of financial status, because the people who usually are executed are not wealthy. These are not wealthy individuals. These are people that, for all intents and purposes, are amongst the quote poor, right? These are people that are underrepresented communities. So the fact that you see this and yet you choose to do nothing, in fact, you profit off of this, because let's not forget that it's called the prison industrial complex for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody's making money off of this. Again, it's pure evil. They should be ashamed of themselves. I hope they don't walk into anybody's church tomorrow, because they don't deserve to be on the, well, let me not say who deserves to be there, but they should be ashamed if they do go. Yeah. Yet these are the very Bible Belt people who are talking about living by the Bible and we shouldn't do this. Yet you freely kill. I hope you're pleased with yourselves.
And so you read this headline: Oklahoma executes man despite parole board recommending life be spared. So my question is, what did they have against this guy? The parole board?
Well, what did he have on somebody?
Exactly. You gotta ask the right question to get the right answer.
So Regina says Texas has had 586 executions since 1977. Wow.
Well, Texas is not, we already know, as Bible Belt as they are, they wrote their own version of the Bible, because they're separate. There's something different. There's something, but if they could secede and still be flourishing, they would, which no offense to any of the Texans that are my friends, but you all can secede. Bye. We will not miss you.
I told you, pull out the Bugs Bunny fall. Florida and
Florida
Texas
too.
Can go.
You all can go. You're not needed. You are not adding to the intelligence of the nation. It's time for you to go. Bye-bye.
Has the death penalty become just another racially motivated action?
It's always been a racially motivated action.
It's never been based on anything else. And you're talking to someone who follows true crime. I mean, I am a true crime freak. And there are some cases where I do have to check myself, like, wait a minute now, do you really feel like this person is, because there are just some evil people out there. Mm-hmm. But it's always been slanted toward us in a bad way. There's never been a time that it hasn't been.
Police departments were founded when we look at after enslavement, after African enslavement. Police departments and jails initially were filled with non-melanated people, right? But this was a way to maintain control and keep people in a neo-slave state. So it turned to doing everything they could to ensure that people of African descent filled those prisons. So
Yes.
this is just an extension of all of that.
It's a business, right?
It is a
Of
huge
course.
business. It is. If you look at everything from the uniforms that are being made to the beds that are in there, to those all-in-one toilets that need to be there, to the food contracts, to the building of the prisons themselves, it is a huge a billion-dollar business. Let's say that it is a billion-dollar business, and people are getting their cuts off the top. Let's not make any mistake there. So if anything that threatens the business, why do you think they're not concerned with really turning out good individuals when they're released from prison? They want you to go back. They want recidivism.
Yeah, it's set up for you to go back.
The money stops. And also you have to think about some of these brands that use prison labor. I don't have a list of them right now.
It's long.
It's long.
It's a long list.
It is a long list. So, of course, if I can get as many inmates as possible, I can run industries, and then they have contracts. They're not making these things for free, meaning the prisons are not making them for free. In fact, here's a good thing, or here's a good example. During the pandemic, they were at the height of the pandemic. New York State was distributing the hand sanitizers. Right? That was made by prisoners. And my mother gave me some, and I said, what? Who made this? It was made by the people in prisons in New York State. And they were distributing them during the pandemic because, there was like no hand sanitizer to be found. So they did that. Now, as part of paying your debt to society, that does not include enriching others. That's not paying back a debt. So I have a huge problem with that. It's a business.
Yeah.
And you still have a lot of those things going on in Alabama where they're lending out the prisoners to go do free work for people. Like a lot of the southern states are still doing that hot and heavy. Not to say the North isn't, but it is still very prevalent in the South. Now, what you know about the South, okay, that is no different than what slavery was, because that's exactly what it is.
Because they don't know how to operate in any other way. And, if anybody is Southern and you're Southern. So please don't take offense. But if you're offended, then you should do something about it.
Exactly.
Don't just sit there looking pretty and Southern. Do something about it. This is what they know how to do. The South was built on the back, the entire country, but the South in particular, when it comes to agriculture, was built on the backs of enslaved people. Why do you think there was reparations paid to people who held enslaved individuals? Because what else are they going to do? They don't know what the heck else to do. And that really, when you think about it, you think about the mediocrity of somebody who can't be bothered to pull up their own bootstraps. Yet this is the same argument that you use against people.
Yes,
but
exactly.
You use a whole battalion of people from someplace else to build your wealth. If that's not the epitome of lazy, I don't know what is. And it's not just the South. You look at places that are guilty of it. Harvard, guilty of it. So a lot of the railroads, some of these universities, guilty of it. So basically the infrastructure of this country, and we already know that, was built by enslaved people. But then the rich thing about this is you talk about other people being lazy and other people won't pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Which did you?
I'm reading a book right now called White Trash. It is by Nancy Eisenberg. It is absolutely a fantastic read. And it really goes deep into the whole thing of building America and how pretty much they were pushing the undesirables over here. They were trying to get them out of London, trying to get them out of the UK, trying to get them out because they didn't want to feed them. They didn't want to deal with them. They wanted to send the criminals over. They wanted to get all that, hey, and if y'all build a nice nation, that's good. You can do that for us. Hey, okay. So from the what they considered the undesirables, they came over here and created other undesirables and made themselves the kings and queens of ruling over here and building the states. And when, first of all, they weren't even wanted in their own country. The way that you can read the history on this is very interesting. The fact that the ones who decided they were going to be the upper crust of the undesirable talk about the lower. And when they both came from the same situation, and when they got a little bit of land, how the difference became, like even Benjamin Franklin was like, slavery is stupid. Y'all do know y'all making yourself lazy, right? I mean, he literally said that. So he had no apathy for that, although I have problems with him too. But this is how they were speaking to one another. So you have to understand that this country was built from people who were undesirables in another area, only to come here and oppress other people because they now could have the power.
Australia is the same way. Australia is the same way, with the exception of that it was an actual penal colony. And so here's what we have to realize about the strength of things like genetics and DNA. When things happen or people behave in certain ways, over time, it becomes ingrained in your DNA. So that's why something like post-traumatic slavery disorder is real, because it's learned, it's ingrained, and then it becomes part of your DNA. So of course, there's this whole, we wonder why the African Americans have certain ways of doing things and behaving, it becomes ingrained in your DNA after a while.
Yes.
And so if that's the case there, why wouldn't, if you came from stock in England that were already criminals and undesirables, why wouldn't that also become ingrained in your DNA if you're descended from that? It's quite, and there's been a lot of studies that have done that. Of course, they haven't looked at every aspect of this, but it makes sense. So it's really, and then it's really like, to overcome some of these things, it's fighting what is now starting to become ingrained in your DNA. It is so difficult. And so that's why none of this as a discussion is easy. Well, we'll just stop. We'll just overcome and forget it. Or just stop being racist. It is not that easy. It's difficult.
Or the worst thing, get over it.
Get over it. Exactly.
Right. But that's an excellent book if anybody is interested in starting to get to the root of all this stuff. It's really interesting.
What's it called again?
White Trash.
Okay.
Interesting.
Well, I'm just typing it in the comments here. And who's the author?
Nancy Eisenberg.
I'm going to try. You know what? Why don't I just Google it? Make it easy on myself. Make it easy on myself on that Nancy.
And as you're doing that, Minnie on Cam had a comment. She says, yes, cell memory from trauma. Why do salmon always know where to swim and to have their babies? Yeah.
Yep.
Things that are innate, they become innate over time. And it may be because that's the way it's always been, or something happens that causes that to happen, and then it always becomes a thing. It's real, and simply because we're humans that are supposed to have intelligent thought, it takes time to get over those things. And I'm talking about it from all aspects. Definitely, it's not the enslaved's fault, but I'm also looking at those people that were colonizers and doing the enslaving. It's something that has become part of your DNA over time. And so now, when we're looking at racism as a thing, and I'm not excusing it because of that, but there could be some answers because of that. When people say that's just, it's in your DNA, well, there could be some truth to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just put it in the comment section of where most people are watching. The name of the book, White Trash: The 400-Year Untold History of Class in America by Nancy Eisenberg, and that's Isenberg. That is in the comments here. Minnie says, Canada, USA, built by slaves, and we are not being compensated for that work because they didn't keep good records of us. And she also said there's a whole TV series called Jamestown. Yes, I've heard of that series. Is that the
Yes.
I've heard of that series. And again, the comment she made, yes, the cell phone memory from trauma. Why do salmon always know to swim to have their babies? Absolutely.
And you know the whole thing about records, not to because I know we're getting away from this.
No,
whole thing.
it's all related to it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the whole thing about records is somebody was saying this the other day, and there's like not the whole story is being told when it comes to records of those who were enslaved. Because if there's one thing that if you had a plantation or you owned individuals, that's your property. You're going to keep records of that. So because that's money that you're losing. If you're that greedy that you're going to have other human beings that you stole work from you for you, you're not going to let that money go easily. Well, again, going back to the reparations that they were paid because they were worth something. So you had to be able to prove, if you're getting reparations, that you have what you say you had. So there are records. It's just a question of what was done with them. Did they destroy them after to prove that they didn't, so they wouldn't get in trouble? But records were had because people who are business owners, they keep good records.
Yeah. So I'm just going to put up the name of the book here, White Trash: A 400-Year Untold History of Class in America. It is a paperback. Let me take that off. But that is the name of the book. So again, if you haven't looked in your comments section, you can check it out here. So let me just bring it back on the screen. Here we go. Yeah, White Trash: A 400-Year Untold History of Class in America by Nancy Eisenberg. So screenshot it or go to your comment section. All right, let's continue on. And good story there. Good story. Marcellus, rest in power. And
Amen.
And also the Supreme Court went overturn it. So that's a whole other conversation with the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Let's not get started on them tonight. We'll be finishing for a 4-hour talk.
Okay. But nothing's been said about them recently, which is interesting. But here's a story that came up that I heard about this week, and I went, okay, this is a little bit not good. Watchdog finds Black girls face more frequent severe discipline in school.
Part of the, if you don't mind, LaLa,
go ahead,
because I always like to defer to you since you are the queen of this.
Go ahead.
I remember several years ago on MSNBC. I don't remember if it was not Joy Reid, but there was a commentator who came on and said this. Part of the reason is because Black children are seen as small Black adults. They're not seen as children. They're not afforded a childhood. So if you see them as adults, then you see them as being able to take the same repercussions and same punishment that adults do. So you treat them harsher. And again, let's go to studies. There have been studies that shown that when shown images, non-melanated people that were shown images of Black people, if they were children, made them older than they actually were. So there is credence to that whole small Black adults thing. They're children, but because you see them as an adult, they can be punished more harshly and punished just like an adult. And then particularly when it comes to girls, there's almost this thing of to keep you in your place. The whole uppity Negro thing, to make sure you don't get uppity, I have to cut you down to size and put you in your place. And so whatever that takes, I'm going to do. I won't forget. First of all, I know Nigerians don't play when it comes to academics. So We were going to be learned some way, whether we wanted to or not. And I remember, and I hadn't seen this report card in a while, but when we went to our mother's house, I looked at the report card when it came to reading. And one of these bloody teachers had the nerve to give me like a C. Impossible. I skipped reading things. So my mother wrote on the thing, she said, now I know. She is not, the C for reading is not right. So the whole thing is there's this whole, how dare you? First of all, I went to a school there were very few of us. It was a small school to begin with, a Catholic school. And there were very few of us that were of color, right? Very few, a handful. Now, it was a great school and I did have a great time, but some of these teachers did have their ways, despite how they were, good in the face and knew that I was smart. There's almost this cutting you down to size. How dare you, child of immigrants? How dare you, Black girl, do better than some of these others that are here? Well, I'm sorry. The fact that we have intelligence in my family, the fact that they come here, and this is another thing too. Our family was really the only professional family. There weren't a whole lot of professional families. If you look at what Buffalo, New York is, what was it? A former steel mill town. There's GM there. So that's not the place that has a whole lot of learned people. And there's nothing wrong with not going to college or anything, but you come here, and my father's a professor at the university there, which is the only reason we live there. My mother is a nurse. So you've got a professional family when other kids in my class were not professional families. That says something. So all of that long soliloquy to say that there's a way of trying to cut young Black girls down to size to show them what their place is and where they belong. And on top of it, they're not seen as children.
LaLa, you want to add?
I did. I pulled some of these stats out of this, and it was very upsetting. So the disparaging in discipline, although Black girls made up only 15% of female students in the 2017-2018 school year, they accounted for nearly half of the suspensions and expulsions. This trend was evident across different types of infractions, from minor to major offenses. 15% in one school year. That's pretty high. I mean, some people think that that's not, but when you look at the totality of it, 15% is pretty high. So once again, this is also goes really deep in the roots of racism, because even children were not, just like Dr. Tachi said, were not seen as children. They were seen as property, and property, chattel, had to get their work done. So as soon as they were old enough to pick something off a tree or pluck something out of the ground or serve as footrests for the master, then that's what they did. So the fact that this is ingrained in society, that our children are not children, is manifesting in the things like this that we see in today's society. How do we pluck this root? How do we? Well, we have to tackle the real reason. But this definitely has an impact on our community, and especially our young women, because they want to, like she said, put us in our place. And how dare you speak up? You are now an angry Black woman. So they don't want that. So therefore, they're going to put you in your place as early as possible. They want to break our spirit. But that is the whole point of slavery as well, is breaking someone to fit the mold that you want them in because you feel superior.
And the interesting thing is that despite all of these things, because this is despicable, but despite all of this, we are still swimming circles around the general population, because Black women are the most educated group in America when it comes to higher education. So despite the fact that you try to label, because all of that, if we're the most educated group, this really speaks to a culture of trying to break Black women and young Black girls and put them in a place, yes, yet we refuse to be broken. So that shows how is it that we're the most educated, yet, and still like the most underpaid, right? Yet there are all these problems in this. Are you intentionally trying to set us up for a life of not achieving and not being? Because for some reason, you think when everybody achieves, that means you have less.
Exactly.
You can't fool us anymore. We're the
Nope.
most educated. You can't
There
fool.
you go. There you go. There you go.
So,
But you know, I saw something today that is kind of related to this. Like, I love to watch some of these crazy videos of like people who come out of anesthesia. You know, like the wisdom teeth anesthesia. That people say things that are on their mind a lot of times. And was a young Black woman who is a med student, and she was completely under, like, coming out of this anesthesia, and everything that she focused on was how she has to be great. And that I'm a med student and there's not very many of us Black med students. And she raised her fist and said, I have to be a part of Black excellence. See, what comes out of your brain when you are not really aware is all the things that oppress us in a lot of ways. In her mind, in the back of her mind, her subconscious is talking about how she must give Black excellence, and this is what is expected of her. When we, like she said, we run around circles around a lot of these folk, and they still want us to continue to tap dance and stand on our head. So this goes so much deeper than just this. I mean, we're punished for everything. And so therefore she sees that she is being held to a higher standard than others. This is a lot.
And we're always held to higher standards. And I think part of it is us as well. We've upheld that, and we continue this because of the fear of being called lazy or imposter syndrome, thinking we don't belong in these spaces. I remember when I first started, when I was I've been a full-time professor. I have been a full-time professor for a while, but when I moved here to Florida to teach, and I would go to my office on the weekends and work on some things. Wasn't too terrible, but I noticed after a while, I didn't see any of these other jokers. It was me and this one Jewish guy that were always there. So I'm like, this is very interesting. The fact that we feel that we need to prove that we're here when, by the way, I graduated with distinction when I defended my dissertation. So I don't have to prove anything to you that I know my stuff, but it wasn't anything that anybody said necessarily. It's the fact that it's ingrained in you that you have to show them that you deserve to be here, that you belong. To after which I'm not doing anything. I do what I do because I do it. But here's the thing. That also worked to an advantage for me because the dean saw what I was doing. And I think I said this before, I was the only faculty member he always said yes to. Everybody else, and I found this out because one of the people that worked in the office, we were talking one day, and she said, listen, you're the only one he says yes to all the time. He tells all the other faculty no, but he'll tell you yes. So it worked to an advantage because I ended up with allies who were willing to do things for me, allow me to do things in that way. But I think by and large, sometimes it is a disservice to Black women because we're constantly needing to prove we belong in these spaces.
Oh, if I get what you're saying, it's just a reflection of the treatment of Black women in general, not
Absolutely.
just in the public school system. It's just a general thing that starts really young and just ingrained throughout the journey.
Yeah, exactly. Mine was just an example, but we can look at examples of this in any profession, in any area that Black women are. This is the thing. And what doesn't help often is that we expect that treatment from people who don't give a care about us, but exactly. The ones who are supposed to be our allies and by our side, that's where the problem is, because there's also this And this is so deep because there's also this wanting to align yourself with the group in power, so you will kick your own in order for that to happen.
Yeah.
Crabs in the bucket.
Mhm.
That's what I call it. Crabs in the bucket.
Mm-hmm. And another person calls those people the Negro naysayers, but that's a whole other conversation. All right. Mignon Cam says, yes, and I was, and they had me in the smart class. Black Barbie broke down how Black children learned to hate themselves by having white dollars growing up. Adding Black Barbie was never their intention. They wanted Black Barbie to be the secondary character.
Yeah. Watch the Barbie documentary. It's excellent. It's on Netflix.
It is.
She says, I don't need a stat to explain the treatment I got growing up because I wasn't treated as a child. Mm-hmm. And it causes a path of trauma in my teenage years to young adulthood. And she says the intention to psychologically damage racialized communities was built from the 1800s. Mm-hmm. And it is general around the world. Yes, absolutely. It's a terrible lineage. Let's just put it that way. That starts right from school and just continues all throughout. All right.
Can I really quickly? Yeah, so even though we're talking about this being a U.S. thing, Minnie is absolutely correct. This is a global issue, and it may look different globally, but it's a global issue. And one thing that I try to do when I speak on things is not just look at things in the United States, because it bothers me when Black people in the US, when we're saying things and we think that Black experience in the US speaks for the entire world. Right. It does not. And I hate when I see these things. And then it's like, but what makes you then better than anybody else if you think you are more victimized than other Black people? Oh, well, it was different. Certainly, victimization looks different in different communities, but it's all the same. It's the same hatred that is being put towards you. So when I speak, I try to look at these things, not just from the lens of the US, but also the lens globally in so much as I can.
And Minnie says, when people move, they bring their values with them and hope to live them in that new location. She says, yes, it's twice or triple as much in the non-traditional work like entertainment and the adult entertainment industry. All right, last conversation piece. How Black fraternities, sororities, and professional groups build support for Black candidates. So we have a soror here.
I do.
So this would be lovely to get your lens on this, especially since it is election season in the U.S. and a certain candidate's been getting a lot of support from Black sorors.
So what I have to say is that first of all, I cannot speak. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I cannot speak for Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Only our international president can do that. However, I can, as a person that is in a sorority, look and see what we're doing, because for Delta Sigma Theta, one of our cornerstones is social action. So you can look in our government agencies, etc., and see a lot of members of not just Delta Sigma Theta, but a lot of the NPHC, which is the National Pan-Hellenic Council, or we also call ourselves D9, Divine Nine, fraternities and sororities. You can see them at all levels of government. You can see them at all levels of industry, etc. Now, as individuals, we may support candidates, but we do not support candidates for public office. So as an individual, I support X, but I'm not saying that as a member of Delta Sigma Theta, we support X, because we're not allowed to do that, because we're a non-governmental organization. We're also a nonprofit organization, so we can't do any of that. But definitely one thing that I've noticed all the D9 have been doing, we are very intent on people voting, making sure that you are registered to vote. Check your voting status weekly to make sure you're still on the rolls, because we know that games have been played. I mean, all of these organizations, first one was Alpha Phi Alpha, founded in 1908. The last of the Divine Nine was founded in 1963, and that's Iota Phi Theta. So we're talking about from the early 20th century through the mid 20th century, mid to almost, just past the mid 20th century. So we understand the exclusion and the downtroddenness that we have had in the political system, especially when it comes to voting. So we're very adamant about that. We're very adamant about social action as well, making sure that you're part of your communities and serving your communities. And we're really big because we have so many chapters. Delta Sigma Theta has 1,000+ chapters worldwide, all over the world. And so we're very adamant about serving in your community. And whether that's running for public office, whether that is doing things that support that. So that's what we do. So yes, you may see individuals, and I just want to be clear, you may see individuals supporting Kamala Harris, definitely, but they're not doing so as members of their organization. Does that make sense?
It does, but it's a little confusing, and I'm going to tell you why. I am not a part. I've always wanted to pledge, but I didn't get the pleasure of being able to do that in college. So the reason I have a question is because we see so many beautiful and wonderful graphics that just make my heart so happy, where it shows that the Divine Nine is like, get in line, and it shows that you guys are all lining up, and it's powerful to me. So you're saying that it's not as a whole, it's individuals, but
you are
under the umbrella.
You are supporting the voting. You are supporting being active in the political process, but as an organization, let me speak for Delta Sigma Theta does not support candidates for public office, but as individuals, you're a member of the organization, absolutely, and we support the process. It's not a secret that probably an overwhelming majority of people in the Divine Nine are probably going to be Democrats. So that, that makes sense. So if you see some alignment, that's why, but it's not as a representative of your organization. It's as an individual. So organizations are just made up of individuals.
I think that is a really great clarification, because I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
And so I just learned something today. I was today years old.
And you know what? You're about to be today years old when you know that you can still go through membership intake process for if you are interested in an organization. Our organizations are for life. I did not become a member until I was slightly out of college. Slightly out of college. Yes, you could. I had when I was online, one of my line sisters was like in her 60s. So this says for some people it has been a lifelong dream to be a part of these organizations. So you can go through a membership intake at any point in time if you are accepted per the organization's rules. You apply and you're accepted for your application is accepted.
Oh. Well, I shall look that up.
Okay. Dr. Tachi's dropping some great knowledge bombs. I'm just going to read a small snippet from this story that we have on the screen. It's from the Baltimore Banner, how Black fraternities, sororities, and professional groups build support for Black candidates. And there's a paragraph here. Black fraternities and sororities, along with professional and social groups such as the Links Incorporated, Jack and Jill of America Incorporated, Prince Hall Freemasonry, and the Boule have built up an infrastructure of support for Black candidates around the country without officially endorsing candidates. Locally, they have helped candidates such as Governor Wes Moore get elected and throw their support behind U.S. senatorial candidate Angela Alsobrooks. Divine Nine is mentioned in this also. So from organizing voter registration drives to manning phone banks, these members roll up their sleeves and work within the community to educate and inspire residents to become politically active. The influence is particularly apparent in Maryland, with its high concentration of Black professionals fueled by the state's 4 HBCUs. A number of these alums and students are members of the Divine Nine. Also, Brooks is also a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. So powerful stuff. Dr. Tachi, there are questions here.
Yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, Mignon Cam says there's no sorority at my Canadian community college. It seems to be with universities here in Ontario. Okay. Wayne Harris, who will be with us on Tuesday evening, part of the watch party, USVP debate watch party, by the way. Good evening. Do you have to be born in the US to be a Delta?
Not at all. We are an international organization. And in fact, the latest chapter that we chartered was in Johannesburg, South Africa. So you don't have to be born there. Yeah, when I say we're international, we are truly international. Right nearby in the Bahamas, there are 3 chapters, 2 chapters that are collegiate and 2 chapters that are alumni, meaning they're not college chapters, and 1 at the University of the Bahamas, I think it is. The university there. So, and we work with them often because it's like half an hour away. So we'll often do things together. In fact, we have state clusters. So when you go to a state cluster meeting, it's with your state. Our state cluster is Florida and the Bahamas. So we're truly international, and you can be born anywhere, and you don't even have to be. This is the interesting thing. We were founded by Black women, and one of the reasons that you see probably a large influx in the DC area is because how many of us were founded at Howard University? Delta was founded at Howard, AKA was founded at Howard, Kappa Alpha Psi, also Q Psi, Omega Psi Phi was founded there. The others were founded elsewhere, but then came and then Iota Phi Theta was founded not too far away at Morgan State University, which is just in Baltimore. So if you see a large influx in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, that's why, because a lot of us were founded at Howard or schools nearby.
All right. Well, and you know that Wayne Harris is going to put in with questions. He's got a number for you. Here's another one. Okay, I know people who have friends who are Deltas, but they don't get invited. Why would the Deltas not want a good person not in their organization?
Well, so it's a complicated process. It's not just about that. They have to look at, and again, I'm being careful because I don't want to speak on things. Our process is our process, but I always tell people that are interested in Delta, it's not just about you could be a great person. I know people who are wonderful people. At one time, my best friend, she's wonderful, but she would be a terrible Delta, right? So do you meet the parameters of what an organization has set up? Do you have a record of service that you've done, or are you just doing it because you want to be called XYZ, right? How active are you in these things? Are you a leader in your community? Are you a good person overall? So it's more complicated than this person is a good person and they should be invited. And first of all, we don't necessarily, you get an invitation after you go through the process to apply, then you get an invite for the rest of the process. So it's a little more complicated than that. But of course we want good people. Absolutely. And I think we're filled, all of these organizations are filled with great people. So honestly, you should make the organization should not make you. You should be doing things and serving your community, whether you're in an organization or not.
Good point. Good point. Good point. Shirley asks, what are the benefits for an individual to be part of a sorority organization?
Oh, well, see, it's interesting. I think it's different for every individual. One of the things that so fraternities and sororities offer are a sense of brotherhood and sisterhood, right? Coming from our foundings at a time when you were on campuses and you needed that type of thing, that was one way of doing it. Also, if you have a love for service, definitely that is a way to work with other men or women that are all going towards the same thing and making your community better. One of the things that you'll notice, the first non-melanated person that became a member of Delta Sigma Theta was Joan Trumpauer Mulholland. And if you don't know who she is, you can look her up. She was one of the Freedom Riders because she's still alive. She worked with Medgar Evers, etc. And if you've ever seen a picture of people at a lunch counter in Greensboro getting stuff thrown at them with the bun. She's the one with the bun. And so that's what I call being an ally. She was in it and she's still in it. And so, and she was it, and that goes to show you, even though it was founded for people of African descent, we are open to anybody who wants to do that. So one of the things she said was, I've been during her birthdays, often her son, who is white, is a member of Omega Psi-Phi, inspired by his mother. She said, well, they used to meet, and she was at Duke. She left because she was getting involved in civil rights causes, and she went to Tougaloo, which is an HBCU in Mississippi. And so she was saying that when they had chapter meeting for Delta Sigma Theta, afterwards, it turned into a civil rights meeting because she said it was the same people. So that shows you that there has always been a spirit of political action and social action and service and wanting better for the communities. So that legacy, if you're into legacy, is another reason that's there. It's also great. Let's be honest. It's also very good for networking. I swear, when the t-shirt business that I have, more Deltas buy stuff from me than anybody because they want to support people who have taken on the values that or exhibit the values that they value too. And you become friends. I mean, it is like, it's lifelong. So for me, those were some of the reasons that I wanted to do it. And I had wanted to do it since I was an undergrad and I didn't have a chance. So once I graduated, I had the opportunity to do it.
Okay. Wayne says birds of a feather are all in the same profession and have the same community track record. So that's, I guess, a benefit. I think you also answered his question. Well, maybe this, what's the benefit of pledging as a professional no longer in school?
So the thing is, well, so let me just correct. We no longer call it pledging. People still say it. So everybody hears that, but we actually call it membership intake because pledging has a negative connotation, obviously. So it's a membership intake now. That's what most of the D9, actually all of the D9 calls it. So the benefits are also now when you're a professional, you're a little more settled in your profession for the most part, and you are then able to, you may also have a little bit more money, and you are able to support the causes and things that the fraternity or sorority supports because you're a little more settled. You're not like a broke college student anymore. You may be, but you're not like a broke college student anymore. You may be a little more settled. You may have better ideas of where you want to go and the people you want to do it with. And these individuals could likely be those people that take you on your journey. Honestly, there's so much support. It's like any organization. You don't know everyone. Everyone you may not hang out with all the time, but then there are those core groups within that really become a support system for you. One thing that we have that you'll notice is, I remember very well, if we have a soror who passes away, right, or a soror who their family member passes away, the first thing we do, we hear about it and we go into action. I remember very well my line sister, the person that I went through membership intake with, her mother passed away. As soon as we heard, everybody was there. We cleaned that entire house. We helped her pack a whole bunch of stuff. Our president sat down and said, okay, now this is who you need to do. This is a good funeral home. We went into action because it's about the community, but it's also about us. So, I mean, you can see that in other places, perhaps in your church or whatever, but this is something special and something quite different, I think. Hopefully that answered.
Yeah, and Wayne says, do you have to be invited or you can just apply, or can you just apply to pledge?
You can apply. And then basically, because I don't know everybody's processes, I only know ours. You can apply, and then you can, based off of your application, that determines whether or not you go further in the process. So it's a multi-tiered process.
All right. I think we're done. Like we got the whole divine process of pledging and about HBCUs. Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Tachi, for giving us that deep dive based on, again, we've had this original story and it then grew a life of its own. So there we go. 100%. As always, want to thank both ladies for spending the most valuable thing in their life, their time with us today. And it wouldn't be just unless we find out where you can find them. So, Exhibit A, Dr. Tachi.
Yes, you can see right here. For some reason, Instagram works for me at Dr._Tachi. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'd love to get mail over there. Also, make sure that you are tapped into IndieSoup Media, which is the independent network that I'm the founder of. And Dr. Vibe has like 3 of his shows over there.
And pushing for more.
Yes, and pushing for more. Listen, the answer is already yes. I don't know why you're pretending and trying to be coy and shy. Yes. So we are there Monday through Friday. Monday through Thursday programming starts at 4 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern on Fridays.
All right. And then there she is. There she is.
Well, it's really easy to find all of my social media. I put it in one place, so you can find me, my YouTube, my Instagram, my everything at this link here, as well as pretty cool free things. I am going to now be pushing you guys to really make sure that you get into home ownership. It is what is going to help you build your generational wealth. So go ahead and visit me at bit.ly/Laura Key Info.
Okay, well, I'm going to bring everyone back on because there's another upcoming conversation that myself and Dr. Tachi are going to be hosting. Yeah. So, Dr. Tachi, why don't you tell the audience about it?
Can you see how excited I am?
Yeah, this has been good. This is going to be good.
This is a good one. On October 7th, Monday, October 7th, Dr. Vibe and I are going to have the pleasure of having a conversation with Kirk Nugent, who is live streaming master extraordinaire. He is, if you've ever watched his YouTube channel, go to his YouTube channel, Kirk Nugent, and subscribe. Yeah. He gives really good information on what's happening in the live streaming industry, including platforms, what different platforms are doing, technical information on how to use these different platforms. And he's very concise, very clear, and he's great. So we reached out to him and he is going to be on with us and we're going to have a 3-way conversation with him.
Yeah. And what a nice guy. I mean, so down. He says, hey, anytime you want me to guest, let's make it happen. And the reason why we're bringing Kirk on, I'm just going to put it out there. So the platform that I use, and sometimes Dr. Tachi uses, StreamYard. Been a great platform, probably one of the great user-friendly platforms in its day when it comes to live streaming. Well, like a lot of, first of all, when they started, there was 2 young guys who created the platform from Vancouver, British Columbia. And then I guess just after a year and a half, 2 years, they sold to a company called Hopin, Hopin. But everything stayed the same. And one of the great features about StreamYard in its past incarnation was Dan and Gage, the founders, would get on every Sunday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern and do a town hall. Half an hour and they were always on at 9 o'clock, 9:30 on it. Any updates, any questions from their community. So they got bought by Hopin. Everything was cool. And then a number of months ago, Hopin, Kirk probably will go into a little bit more detail when he's live. StreamYard got bought by a company called Bending Spoons. Now, people go, I don't know who they are. They own Evernote. And also they own the Meetup property. Meetups, they own that. So for people who were used to getting Evernote in the past, all of a sudden you notice you had to pay for it. The pricing went up. And same thing with Meetup. The whole structure of Meetup has totally changed. Okay, Dr. Tachi's going, yes, has totally changed. I know a lot of people are not happy. Well, we were going, Well, guess what's happened with the pricing of StreamYard? Okay, if you didn't have an annual subscription, your pricing, the monthly pricing is going up by 80%. 80%. Now, they have introduced some new features, but not really to, in my opinion, to justify it, like dark screen, which they were working on forever, broadcasting in 4K. Well, unless you have the capability to broadcast in 4K, go ahead.
But it's not even broadcasting in 4K. When I looked at it today, it's only local recording in 4K.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're still broadcasting in 1080p, which is high definition. The ultra high definition is 4K, and you're only going to be able to basically save the video. If you're using a 4K camera, it will be saved. Local recording will be saved as 4K, which is the same as you just recording it yourself on your camera.
Yeah. So this has caused a lot of uproar, and the person I found out the pricing from was Kirk.
Yeah.
It was about 2 Sundays ago, because I subscribed to his channel, and I looked at it and said, you know what? I'm just going to ask if he wants to come on. Bang. So you'll probably see in the next few days on my platform and Dr. Tachi's platform, we'll start to promote it. But if you need and want to know about live streaming, especially the technical side of it, made easier and user-friendly, he's such a cool guy, so down to earth, and you can ask all the questions. In fact, I think what we should do maybe ahead of time, Dr. Tachi, just send something out, and if people have questions about live streaming, have them for them. Just a thought. So
yes,
that's more that's coming. Ladies, I will let you go to the backstage. Thank you so much. All right, take care. All right, family, this is what we are all about. So you can watch replays of this show. It's part of the Dr. Vibe family. Primetime side with Aisha and LaLa on the Dr. Vibe show, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and also my website, the drvibeshow.com. Let's do the roll call. Primetime Saturday at Patreon. There is a link. It's also in your comments section on most of the platforms except LinkedIn for some interesting reason. Join the Discord group. Email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Also, Primetime Saturday Show Store. We got to see if we can maybe get Dr. Tachi's creations in there and give her some percentage royalties for some of her t-shirts in there. Also, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button, and like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I'm part of. dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And if you are watching this before October 1st at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, upcoming U.S. debate between Tim Walz and J.D. Vance, we're going to be doing a live watch party, aka in the same format that we did the debate live watch party with Ms. Harris and 45. So wherever you're watching this now, make sure you have it locked for Tuesday, October 1st at 9 p.m. All right, that's it, family. As always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher and wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember, just don't manage your time, manage your energy. And remember to give yourself grace. And follow us. We doing lots of things and more coming. God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith and walk good.